Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Blue Collar Off-Road Podcast, episode 159. Today we are joined by Cody, Richie, myself, Luke, and Graham will be joining us later. And for a guest, we have on Leah Hawkman. You probably recognize the rig, 42 Reds, 24 hours
39s.
hell and back.
The
Oh,
39?
never mind, I was
The
wrong.
rig is just so small, they look like 42s.
Oh my
All right,
gosh, I
well,
would have never guessed that they were 39s. That's crazy. I feel like 39s on like most rigs look so tiny, then on that they look massive. That's awesome.
If I could run 42s on my axles, trust me, I would.
Well, why can't you?
Well,
It's
hold
just-
on, Richie. Jesus Christ. Let's learn a little bit more about her and what's going on with her, and then we'll slide into the rig. All right, let's
Okay.
ease on into it. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what got you into wheeling and all that jazz, and then we'll go from there.
Cool. I'm from Virginia, born and raised. Got into wheeling when I met my husband in 2009. He had a buggy he built from the ground up on tons and 43s. It was before stickies were really a thing. Pretty badass buggy. It would just hog through anything, and he like let me wheel it right away. Taught me how to pick a line and rock crawl. I just fell in love with that. Probably why I married him initially. Just kidding, honey. But yeah. So got into the rock crawling. We did that as much as we could, and then got married, did the family thing, got out of it for a few years, and then got back into it. Decided, oh, let's just get a Rubicon and build that up and start there. Big mistake. We got a 2015 JK Rubicon 2-door, built it up pretty good, still running on 44s. But
that
once you
sounds
have a bug,
expensive.
yeah, and it was mint condition when we bought it. It was a beautiful Jeep. There is not a single panel on it now that is not scratched and dented. Like literally, people will not park next to me at the grocery store.
Who would have thought that the buggy
That-
people would fuck up a nice full body rig? Who would have thought?
Oh,
That
people
is
just think
quite
we're
advantageous.
absolutely crazy. I mean, it pretty much looks like a shit box now. So, yeah, we got that and we're like, big mistake. And then not only that, we were kind of like constantly bickering on who got to drive. So yeah, so one day he sends me a picture of this buggy and he's like, I'm going to buy this for you. And I was like, haha, yeah, right. Well, sure enough, that night he drove 8 hours down to South Carolina and bought my buggy. And
What a
then
good guy. What a good guy.
I know, right? And then he was like, "That's going to be your rig. I'll keep wheeling the Jeep until I can build myself one." He just felt like it was a good rig for me, being a low center of gravity, really stable rig. The rear steer, it's a small moon buggy, the rear engine, and so big learning curve, going from a 1-ton buggy that just hogged through anything, completely different driving style than my rig now. And then going to the JK for a little while, which is a manual. I had to learn how to wheel that. And then I got my buggy, which has rear steer. And when I first got it, the rear steer lever went up and down instead of left to right, which, that's like a total mindfuck. And
Wait, what?
yeah, the lever went up and down. So you went up to go right and you push the lever down to go left.
That kind of reminds me of like what's those boats down in the swamps of Florida and stuff like that. The big, like with the huge fans on it. I know that they're very similar where like you push forward and it goes left and then you pull backwards, it goes airboat. Thank you, Richie. Yeah, like that's got to be such a weird, like, especially there, you're already trying to drive, you're trying to do everything else, and then it's like, yes, up, down, fuck, left, right, goddamn sideways.
Yes. Yeah, like finally, like I made little vinyl decals and like labeled it because, like those eventually wore off, and by that time, like, I had it memorized and all figured out. But then by the time I got it to where I was working it, kind of naturally, we brought it in and did a new dash. And when we did that, we flipped ran all the hydraulic lines behind the dash, because those also used to be above the dash, like right in my face, which always sketched me out.
Yeah,
Yo,
especially.
that stuff sketches me out with the
Mhm.
orbital cylinders getting mounted on the dash. I'm like,
Yeah, my orbital is like right above my legs right now. And like
Oh boy.
somebody pointed that out to me, so I won't like wheel in shorts anymore. But
huh.
we're redoing a bunch right now, and I'm gonna put a shield around it.
That's a good
Yeah,
call.
so that stuff's operating at like 1600 psi roughly, depending on everything, if I remember correctly. And like 1600 psi is plenty to give you a nice severe oil infused cut,
Yeah.
which is not
Yeah,
great. Um,
exactly. So that's something I'm going to do.
when
See,
New fear unlocked.
yeah.
Yeah. When I bought my chassis that I had a while ago, I was looking at building a like a multi-piece bent up shroud to go around the orbital because there was nowhere else I was going to be able to put the orbital. And then I sold the chassis and now have got the same shit box and I'm just throwing the orbital up front like a normal person would.
Yeah, just a little shield will at least help give you enough time to hopefully hop out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if you make it out of eighth inch material, it's not going to burn through that very easily or quickly. It would have to be like spraying on it for a long enough period of time that you're going to have noticed and cared a while ago.
Or when you stop having steering, it might it might be like,
Yeah, I
something's
was
going
gonna
on
say,
here.
that might clue you in. I think you would realize. I have a cup holder in my dash right beside my orbital, and I guess my trail beverage had leaked into it, and I start feeling something dripping. I have it on like Carhartt bibs, and I start feeling like a drip coming from that area, and it was like creeping down, coming from the orbital. Oh my God, I pulled over so fast and hopped out. Everyone's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I was like, "I think my orbital's leaking."
That is
Yeah.
never a fun time at all.
Also, the reason I said that is because my ultimate fear is the pinhole leak. That is
Yeah.
what terrifies me more than the line letting go because you'll still have steering. It's just going to start pissing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably at a higher pressure too, being like a pinhole leak,
Yep.
I
like
do
a
want to.
laser plasma cut or something.
Yeah,
It's like a water
basically.
jet, but hydraulic fluid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
water jet. That's what I'm thinking.
But
That's
I
why
do,
that stuff scares me, man. And
but I
or woman.
do
I
want
don't know.
to, I do want to commend you though. Honestly, I think it's really cool when, and like I don't want to bring like sex into this, but either way, it's like I think it's really cool when women like go to such an extent that you have in a male-driven sport. I think it always interests me, and like coming from like the dirt biking world and like skateboarding and snowboarding and all of that, and like it's always so unique. And I think it definitely grabs attention because people are like, "Oh shit, like that's super cool," and it's something that always like interests me knowing how they got into it. So it's cool that your husband took the time and like got you comfortable with it because as we know, like we have, different girlfriends and whatnot. And sometimes it's like if they get the wrong day, the wrong sour taste in their mouth about wheeling, and it could just throw off the whole entire thing. But with him having you learn to drive and learn to like get into that side of it, I bet you that's like the bump
That's
up.
Yeah, that's the tipping point. Like, I mean, I was into it before and loved it, but once I got to drive, then that was all I wanted to do. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not a passenger princess. Like, I don't want to ride. I want to drive. So, that's a big tipping point. And then when I got my own rig, I wanted to know everything about it. I wanted to be able to talk about it confidently. I wanted to learn how to work on it. I can take my axle apart and put it back together by myself. Did it at camp by myself a couple times this summer. changing out an axle shaft. Even at one point I even had to drop the diff and take my locker out and test it. Now I did have somebody help me pull the diff out because it's a little heavy. But I take pride in knowing my rig and how to work on it, and I just feel like that's something you should do. And you say not to bring sex into it, but I mean it is a part of it because it's the world we live in, and it's just not common to see a female into off-roading to that extent. And that's why I really try to push that and encourage that on other women. It's quite empowering to know how to work on your own rig and confidently speak about it. If someone asks me a question about it, 9 out of 10 times, I know the answer.
Yeah,
So,
that's go ahead.
sorry.
No, you're okay.
I have a grumblement that I think that everyone is currently getting failed right now, and there should be a very basic class in high school about how to change the brakes on your car and understand the way that stuff works.
Or I mean, at least an oil change. I mean, my God.
Yeah,
You're
like
wrong.
now
Yeah,
I know
I
I'm
totally agree. I totally agree. I feel like there needs to be a class on basic automotive skills, mechanics, and probably one on credit and balancing a checkbook as well.
Fucking amen to that. Amen to that.
yeah,
That is-
like
Yeah.
those are just basic life skills that I feel like
Yes.
everyone's lacking. And like I'm lucky because my dad was an aircraft mechanic who is into diesels, and like oldest kid, most time to spend in the garage, and I just kind of got hooked. And I've said it before, but diesels were too expensive, so I got into wheeling. And
That's how it was for me with my grandfather in classic cars. Was like, we built the 55, me, my dad, and him, and I'm looking at like, oh yeah, I'll pick up a C10. I'm like, man, that's like $6,000 for a shit box. So I'm like, that $500 Cherokee over there is looking hella good right now.
Right.
And then it just kind of progressed from there. So it's really unique to me to see how everybody gets into it, or like the story behind Holly Fowler, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. Like her story is absolutely incredible, and I want to get her on the pod so bad because I think she would be a really good talk.
She would. She's a good buddy of mine. I'll talk to her.
Hell yes, man! I'm excited already just thinking about it. But like her story,
she's fun to talk to also.
and I don't know. I think it's really cool. And like one of our friends up here, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name, and I am a terrible person for this. Mike Craig. So Mike Craig's wife, she's incredible, and it was awesome because like the first few times that I met Mike Craig, his wife was driving 99% of the time. And that was like
because Mike's a terrible fucking driver, and she at least knows how to like obey a spotter.
See, but I almost watched her run over Timmy, and then she drove into a tree.
Yeah, well, that's fucking Timmy. So like, and Timmy was standing next to the tree. I would have hit Timmy too.
But either way, I think that was like my first real experience into like watching a woman drive to that like same extent. And I just think that's really fucking badass, and it's definitely like an extra like 10 cool points compared to just watching Luke do something. Like it's awesome.
There seems to be a lot of women up in New England who drive.
There are. Hell, I even had Morgan driving before I put the stick in it, and now that I put the stick in it and the tons under the rig, she's
stick
just
in
like,
what?
In the rig.
Okay, sorry. Just had to clarify.
Get your head out of the gutter, jackass.
Hey, I'm just saying, you're leaving it open for interpretation. I gotta ask.
He did kind of say like he brought up Morgan and then said before I put the stick in it. So
yeah,
I mean,
I caught that too.
I am operating on a mature adult level here. I'm just trying to, talk about transmissions in, specifics because I prefer being able to select the gear and hit it with the right amount of attitude, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
I got a question for you. But we have to circle back and talk about your rig and whatnot. But I do have one quick question before we do all that. So something that I experienced with, we'll say an ex, whatever she was at this point, where when she was learning to wheel, she had a nice Wrangler. It was a nice shape, and she wanted to keep it nice, but she also was interested in learning. When I would spot her, she would get so upset with me when something wouldn't work well, and then Luke would have to like physically shove me out of the way and go, "All right, now that moron's done talking." Like he would say like the exact same thing, but it would just click. Did you ever experience anything like that?
Oh,
Luke?
Like,
sorry.
like, like somewhat. Well, I get what you're saying. Yes, yes. Sometimes when Brent's spotting me or something's not going right, I'm kind of like, just shut up and let me figure it out on my own. I don't necessarily want someone else to come in and spot because I trust him more than anybody else. Like, he
Mhm.
knows me, he knows my driving style, he knows the rig. But like, it gets to a point where you can't have a spotter all the time. You're never going to learn, you're never going to progress. You have to get to the point where you got to figure it out on your own. You have to learn your rig limits, and you got to break shit to learn and understand your rig and the limits. And but I get what you're saying, like with TJ spotting at Hellenbach. Yeah, it went smoother because I didn't have a ton of seat time in my rig yet, and we had just done a bunch of work on it, and it was somewhat of a shakedown run. And I just wanted TJ to spot me because he knew the trails. He's an off-road guy. He's familiar with buggies like mine as well up in New England. There's, a few Toyota Suzuki based buggies up there I know of. And it was just like high pressure, kind of intense. And I mean, Field and Forest, those red trails there are no joke.
That's for sure.
Like when we
That is for
walked
sure.
them the day before, I got like like kind of like red in the face, and like everyone was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't even see the line." Like, I was like, "You people are crazy."
I won't blame
So
you.
yeah, I mean, it was quite intimidating, and now like I have like way more seat time since Hellenbach, and I'll be the first to say it. I'm way better driver now than I was even in Hellenbach, and not to even say I was a good driver at Hellenbach. I mean, I had the rig, not to say I had the most capable rig, but I had the most well-suited rig to get through those trails, and that was like my saving grace.
And then you had the fat JK on 40s following along,
Yeah, we had the
which
guy
is
who sold his
hilarious.
buggy to wheel a JK and Hellenbach. It was absolutely hilarious, and he just did phenomenal. But Chris
I
also knows that
actually,
park as well.
It still
I
upsets
actually
me.
was like that.
It upsets
Huh?
me so much. It upsets me so much because his rig was awesome, and like he has the family, and like I get it. But then he also had his buddy Mikey, who he was with him. He was in his passenger
Mike
seat that
Pierce.
day. Yeah, where like Mike Pierce like built his rig up so that way like they could go and like wheel across the not New England, like all across the country together. And then all of a sudden Chris is just like, "See you, dude. I'm gonna go buy a minivan."
That's poor
But then
guy.
Oh,
again, he goes and he
He was
runs
really
reds
cool.
at
They
F
were
and
both
F.
really cool.
oh yeah, they're great people. I definitely like those dudes.
Yeah.
Every time I go wheeling with them, I always learn something, which I love. And it's always exciting wheeling with them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've been back up to New England now since Hellenbach, and last time I was up at Field and Forest, I wheeled every blue and black trail there. Nobody wanted to get into the red trails, but I did hit every blue and black there. It was just me and Jared Bouchard, um, just just hitting it like. I mean, we just hightailed it through the trails. I mean, it was insane. We would stop for maybe like 5 minutes, chit chat, get back in, and just blast. I mean, it was so much fun.
Gotta love those days. Those days are always the best where like you get into a small group and you just go hammer through everything and really get to explore a property. Like those are some really good times.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
was it was so much fun. Like I skipped out on competing that day. Like I was like, oh, I drove all the way up here. I've been working for X Rock all weekend. Like, I don't really want to compete. I don't have anything to prove. I just want to go wheel and explore the property. Like, I towed up there our 36-foot enclosed trailer by myself, 12 hours. And I was like, I want to wheel. Like, that's why I do this. Like, I want to freaking wheel. And then I felt bad about it the next morning. So I was driving up to the comp course and I was like, okay, I'm going to compete. Like, hopefully I'm not getting up here too late. And then on the way up to the comp course, I ripped off a rear link.
Oof.
Yeah. And then so
Oof.
like I had to I was trying to ratchet strap it like down to the tube myself. And then like the diff like had pointed. And then I was just like totally screwed at that point. So then I went and found TJ, Tanner, who was it? TJ and Eric Swenson and Eric Goulet came back and helped me get it off the trail. And then we found good old Brian Goes and he welded it all back up for me, which was like, it was really weird to watch someone else working on my rig that like I had never met before. It was weird. It was like a one night stand. But yeah, so we got it all welded back up, and at that point there was no way I could compete. So then I was like, Jared, can we please go wheel? Like we wheeled with Eric and some other guy. I can't remember his name for a little bit, and then it was Sunday and everybody was being a little bitch. So then just me and Jared went out. It was a blast, but I love Field and Forest.
Field and
Yeah.
Forest is one hell of a property, to say the
I
least.
haven't been challenged, really challenged. And like I've wheeled on the Mammoth Trail and all kinds of crap, down east here. But I'd say the most challenging parks I've been to are AOP and hands down
F and
Field and
F.
Forest. Yeah, and then I'm saying that over area BFE even out in Moab.
Wow.
I
That's
have a
awesome.
lot of love for AOP. AOP is like my
It's
favorite
freaking
park.
wild, and you kind of have to be a different breed. Like when I got down there and I looked at everybody else's rig and I looked at mine, I was like, oh shit.
We're
I was
not in
like,
Kansas anymore.
yeah, I was like, total Dorothy moment. Oh God. And I met up with like Dylan Waters and those guys, and I was there for the trail trash meet and beat. We were actually picking up a set of 42 reds for my husband's buggy, and then because those AOP guys don't want those red label crawler
Yeah, I'm
garbage.
sorry that you wasted those dollars on them, but that's okay.
But no, it's all good. So yeah, so we got down there to AOP and I saw like these like mini Toyota rock bouncers, like Toyota axles on 43s. I was like, what voodoo
Yeah.
is this? Like, how are they not breaking shit? And it's because there's no traction there. Like
So
there's no traction to break anything. Like you can just freaking
that's a
skinny
lie.
pedal.
That
Well,
is a
not when I
lie.
was there. It was wet and I could not crawl up anything. And I know you're going to say it's because I'm on reds, but
No, I was going to save that for later because I cannot wait to get into that topic. But I want to cover Shecrawls and I want to cover what the actual moon buggy is. But I
okay.
also have to stick up for AOP first here, because like it's
No.
only an hour from my house, so
Well,
it's
you're one of those AOP breed people and y'all are crazy.
dude, it is so wild showing up there. And like I'm used to having the rig on 40s that's like 4 linked and 3 linked and like you pull into the Roush parking lot with that with like this clapped out rig and everyone's kind of like whatever, it's just trail trash. And then you show up at AOP and that rig goes from like a large rig at a normal park to one of the smallest rigs in the parking lot sitting on 40-inch stickies, linked front
Oh,
and
yeah.
rear. And it's
I mean,
like
how do you think I
100
felt in my little bougie moon buggy there?
probably a lot less stable.
I mean, it was wild. We were
Yeah.
going up this one trail at nighttime I mean, and it was kind of like the wheeling where I was like, I'm gonna have to like pound several beers before I go out and wheel with these guys tonight. So I did that, and I can't remember what trail it was, but I mean, we were sitting there for every bit of 20 minutes waiting for people to get up it, and they were struggling. And my God, like I was tuned in, and I never wheeled like that before in my life. I just put my foot on the gas pedal, and I like rock bounced the whole way up that trail in one shot. Like it was insane, and like nobody got a video of it. And I was like, I don't care. You guys are like AOP people. You saw me do it. And then we get up to the top of the trail, and we're sitting there and talking with these other guys who are like the only other ones to make it up it. And next thing you know, like they're shaking me, waking me up. I'm like passed out in the buggy, mouth breathing. And
Oh shit.
yeah, like I fell asleep. We were up there that long. And he was like, "Hey, no one else made it up. So you want to head back?" And I was like, "Oh shit, yeah. Okay." But I gave Dylan, I don't know if you guys know Dylan Waters, but I gave Dylan
Yes.
so much shit for that. I was like, haha, Dylan, I made it up and you didn't.
And I'm sure that hurt Dylan on a spiritual level because,
No,
poverty dot things.
Well, he would have just gone up and like broke a 40 spline axle shaft or something anyways, so.
Yeah, he would wad the thing up and then be like surprised that a 9-inch third member decided to delete itself from the chat while the rig is like completely rolling itself over from torque steer. How
Yeah,
did this
you
happen?
know Dylan.
yes,
That's so
yes, we
funny.
do.
Dylan's a great guy though. I love him. He's my buddy. I really enjoy him. He's nice. He's really, really nice, friendly guy.
He's got an interesting persona, but I like wheeling with him because he's always a party, and every time that you like watch him walk up to something, you know you're about to see something interesting happen. There's never any time where he's like gentle on anything.
Oh no, like what's that one real steep obstacle there? Like
Riot Hill?
not little steep, yeah, Riot Hill. Like I tried and it just was not happening. And then he went up there and broke something, and that was at nighttime. But then as soon as we got there, I was like, I got to see this little Caesars trail that everybody talks about. I've seen it on Rain of Rocks and stuff, but I wanted to see it in person. In person. So like he drove me back there, and we were checking it out. Oh man, was he trying so hard to get me to try to put tires on it right then and there. I was like, I literally just got here. And like the whole trail trash crew like came up and parked, and so much pressure. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not
Cameras start
breaking.
coming out, and then it's like,
Yeah,
oh well.
I was like, I am not breaking my rig as soon as I get here. That was just like, I mean, it's pretty gnarly. A friend of mine, he made it up there a couple weeks back though. He made it up the whole thing. He didn't skip the second ledge or anything. Steve Marquette in a
Holy
buggy.
shit. Was
Yeah.
it like a bouncer, or was it more of like a
It's like a comp buggy.
hell yeah? That's
Have
Yeah.
you noticed like the AOP rigs that get bred though are all like 120-inch wheelbase on 43 SXs with at the very least 400 horsepower? That part
Yes,
just
but
churns those out.
what blew me away was like the Toyota rock bouncers on 43s. That's what blew me away. I was like, how are they running 43-inch stickies on Toyota axles?
Red Clay and Divine Prayer for Rain.
That's what I'm saying, the lack of traction. But when I was there, it had been raining. So
Oh, yeah.
When you're there and it's dry, the park becomes weird because like it's got certain areas that stay soggy, and so that red offshoot that you go into where like when you're coming up what is it, 1, it's the red offshoot that heads up to like 41 and all that will never stay dry. So I went bombing into there and stood my Cherokee on its nose at the drop down because I didn't want to take the bypass over there. I'm like, that'll be fine, whatever. And in the dry, I went and I hit the brakes expecting it to like slide, and instead I locked everything up and just like nosed right on in there.
Ooh.
Some gymnastics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when that place is dry, it's probably worse than when it's wet, other than you can make everything.
Well, I definitely want to go back there when it's dry because that place humbled the shit out of me.
You'll
Like
be bored.
I would look at something and be like, "Oh, hell yeah, that's going to be fun to crawl." Couldn't even fucking make it up it. I was like, "What? Oh my god, like Riot Hill, like I felt like I could have had that. Like I maybe don't quite have the wheelbase to get up it, but I mean, I think if I, had turned the rear tires just right and got the fronts like over the, crested over the top part of the ledge, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I need redemption. I need AOP redemption.
AOP doesn't offer redemption, it only offers a different kick in the teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll like, for example, I went in there when it was dry, and like I was talking about, I almost rolled my rig because I'm so used to the park being wet that like you go and you hit the brakes and they don't generally do anything because you're just on like soggy clay and you go sliding down the rocks, and it's
Yeah,
okay.
like on your bald SXs.
Unfortunately, I don't run bald tires. I sell tires at half tread.
That was a joke.
No.
I know. I'm just returning it. Same level of sass. So, all right, let's get into this here. So we've mentioned the buggy. What exactly is it? It's rear engine, Toyota engine, Chevy engine. What do we
No,
got?
it's Toyota Suzuki based rear engine, rear steer moon buggy. You would dub it as a moon buggy. It's small, lightweight rear engine. So I've got two 8-inch front Toyota axles. They're flipped because I'm rear engine. And
Mhm. Yep.
then I've got 488 Yukon gear and axle gearing, and those the rear axle. I've got a Yukon gear and axle high pinion housing, but we flipped it and put reverse cut gears in it. So they're running on the drive side. So I've just got like a better depth into the
Yeah,
gearing.
makes sense.
And yeah, so it's a lot stronger because I'm really pushing it running 39-inch reds. And then I've got Toyota drive shafts. Then I've got a 16 valve 1.6 liter Suzuki engine.
Okay.
Ooh.
And
The fuel injected one?
and that's mated to a Samurai transfer case. I've got the Trail Gear 6.5-to-1 kit in that. And then that is mated to a Kick 3 crawl box.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I've got like stupid low gearing. It's like,
Yeah, I checked out like 20 minutes ago. That's way too low a gearing for me. How do you drive that thing around?
I mean, I can put it in like high, and it does good. I mean,
I'm
it's a
just
buggy, like I'm only on the trails in it, so.
So what you're saying is Windrock is out of the picture.
Oh no, I did fine at Windrock.
Yeah, it
how's it?
cruises along through the trails, like
So-
going
so
to
how-
the trails.
Yeah, I mean, it does fine. Like, I put the transfer case and if I can, I'll just put it in too high, and then I put the crawl box in low, and I just blast around.
Makes
It does
sense.
fine. It keeps up. I mean, obviously, like I can't keep up sometimes with certain rigs, but when they're blasting. But I'd like to think that people keep in mind, hey, Leah's following you. Don't like completely haul ass. I could probably go like 35.
Oh, that's
Okay,
that's
that's
plenty
not
good then.
bad.
Yeah, that's plenty good. Okay.
I was
Yeah.
just giving you a hard time because, like, 6.5-to-1, and then you've got the crawl box. What's the crawl box? 2.5 or 3-to-1?
Is the crawl box 2.5 or 3-to-1?
I'm curious what the.
Yeah, it's like 1.8, something like that. My overall crawl ratio is like around 137.
That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Way more than that. I feel like my.
No.
That's
And
impressive.
it's really good. Like the one of the main reasons we put the crawl box in is because it takes a lot of stress off that turbo that TH180 transmission I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like burning up my transmission, and a friend of mine out west offered to sell me that crawl box because he was parting out his rig and selling it, and and it just it was just perfect, and it's just taken all the stress off my transmission.
That makes sense.
So yeah, and honestly, like all that torque and everything, it just makes the stickies work better. The tires hook up more, and that's kind of like my style of wheeling anyways, is like low, slow, super technical crawling.
I agree. I think that's more fun for me. Like, I don't know. I don't mind go fast shit, but I think like actually having to like kind of work through a problem on trail, like that's what gets me excited because then I'm like I feel accomplished after I finish it for sure.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like feeling challenged and getting through like a technical obstacle, and every now and then it's fun to hit the skinny pedal, sure, but we also know that's when shit breaks.
Yeah, exactly. Quick thing. Let's talk about your husband. What does your husband's rig have? Just
He's got a Fabin 801 OG Rock Lizard chassis. He's got a 5-to-1 Atlas in there. He's got a 2.0 Ecotech um, engine, built turbo 350. KMC 20-inch KMCs with 42-inch crawlers. Trail gear, hydraulic rams, 4-wheel steer. Yukon and the diffs and the axle shafts. It's gonna be a pretty bad rig.
sounds like it. It sounds like it. Sounds like yours would be more fun though. I'm just saying. His seems pretty cookie cutter. Throwing it out there.
I know, he should have just gotten LS. Jesus.
Exactly. Just figure out how to put in that little rock lizard. Just mash it in there somehow.
But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm just excited for him to be in a buggy too. Finally, like he's. Sometimes we don't even wheel together. We'll go to a park together, but we don't wheel together. Cause I'll go out with a buggy group, and he'll hang back, and I mean he'll do like the same trails I do, but we'll be running different lines and stuff. And but don't get me wrong, like he does crazy things in that JK. I don't know if you saw the Flex Rocks Rollovers fan wild ride video, but if you haven't, you need to tune in and watch him beat the shit out of his JK. It's absolutely hilarious.
No, I don't think I've watched the video, so I'll definitely have to check that out.
It's on 37s. He took it up trail 15. He took it up trail 21.
Oh my. It's gotta be kind of fun though, because then like you guys get to like share stories at the fire afterwards, like because you both got to experience two different things throughout the whole day.
Oh, for sure. And like we'll like radio into each other and be like, "How's it going?" And like one of the last times we were out, but in separate groups, he was like, "Hey, I just broke something." He ripped what'd you rip off? He ripped off a control arm, the factory bracket.
Ooh.
Yeah, right, straight off the frame. And yeah, and that was the first time he's ever majorly broke anything on that Jeep, and I was like, wow, in 3 years of wheeling it. And so I was like, that's crazy. All right, well, I'm about to hit this line up here. All these people are up here watching, so I gotta go up here and try and do something. And I get up there and get bound up and broke something. And that was like 5 minutes after he told me he broke. So I head back to camp, and I get back to camp. I pull my axle shaft out. I blew the berth up on an RCV, and yeah, so fortunately had a spare. And then I get that in, and then he pulls up, and he's like, "You're broke too?" I was like, "Yep, you jinxed me." So we're both there working on our rigs. But here's the funny thing: it's him and like 5 dudes working on his Jeep. And then it was me all by myself with my friend Leisha and my girlfriends Leisha and Teresa handed me tools, working on mine all by myself.
Man, they just left
I
you
was
guys all to
I
your
was like
own
5
lonesome.
dudes, 1 JK. I was like typical Jeep people.
That reminds me of when we were our first year going down to the AOP meet and beat. I forget Sam's last name, but Sam also has a JK, and I remember in the middle of the night they're trying to work on it. There's like 8 men surrounding this one JK trying to work on it. It was the funniest thing ever, and that just made me
Yeah.
think of that night.
Yeah, that's what it was. Like, I shit you not. There was like 5 dudes over there working on it, and then me just pulling my axle apart. I had that shit fixed and put back together before they had that
Hell yeah,
shit welded back on. I was like, all right, see you later. I'm going back out.
going out
Oh,
wheeling, see you later,
That's
losers.
the way to show them.
Yeah, I mean, I've broke shit enough that I'm getting good at changing it out pretty quickly.
Love it. Love it. So now what got you in the mood to start Shecrawl? And like what does Shecrawl really mean to you?
Well, Shecrawls is all about promoting women in the sport. Like, I got to the realization, or I came to the realization that I always see women out on the trails, but they're in the passenger seat. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, you need to get behind the wheel. Like, don't be afraid of it. Get behind the wheel and drive. And not only that, there's also a lot of women who do have their own rigs. But I want to encourage them to, push the limit, wheel, progress, learn to work on your own rig. And, I just had a lot of people reach out to me before I started the brand She Crawls and tell me, hey, you inspired me to drive my husband's rig. I'm going to get my own now. Or, hey, I saw you um, installing your gears and lockers. Like, it was really cool. Like, I'm learning to weld or this and that. And, I just had a lot of people reaching out telling me, that they thought it was inspiring and that it encouraged them. And I was like, that's, really cool and very humbling. And I just want to continue to do that and, kind of bring women together where, and the way things can be, sometimes women don't always get along or they can be petty towards each other. And I just kind of want to make the off road community a place where that doesn't happen for women and encourage them to do more. And, don't think about it. Just, I wish I could do that. Do it. You can do it. You're capable. You're more than capable.
Hell yeah. So honestly that's really really cool, and I like seeing that as well. Now with your events, is it like are you gearing it more towards the idea of having like women driving for this event?
No, not necessarily. I mean, obviously, I like to see that, but I'm not sure if the events are something I'm going to keep doing or not. We'll see how this one goes, and it's just welcome for all. I just wanted it to be a season opener, kind of shakedown run on the East Coast. I mean,
Oh
all
yeah.
in all, everything I do it because I just want to wheel. I just want everybody to come together and go wheeling and have fun and listen to the band and party and eat some good food and just have a good time. I
And
just
when
felt like there was kind of like a gap in off-road events that what I had envisioned for my event, I don't know. I mean, have you been to an off-road event that has a $60 ticket? You get an event T-shirt, live band, buggy or ORV barrel racing. You get a free meal from the food truck for your ticket, trail rides, awesome park. I don't know. I felt like
that
it was a
sounds pretty
bang for
cool
your
to
buck.
me.
That
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of sounds like Wheeling for Warriors.
Wheeling for Warriors is similar. But it's but it goes I mean
Like I said, it kind of
Well, that's
sounds.
for
yeah.
that's for a great cause. I'm not really making any money off the event because where I price the tickets at, and I'm including a shirt and a meal, and I'm paying for the band and everything with that ticket price.
Mhm.
But I had thought about possibly upping the ticket price a bit, and I'd love to like donate to like the Jesse Combs Foundation or something like that. But I kind of wanted to kick off this first event and see how it goes.
Yeah. When is the event?
It is April 26th weekend.
Okay. All right. We'll see
Okay,
what we
so
can make happen.
that's like a week or two after the meet and beat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, don't break your shit and come to the event.
Well, I'll try my best.
Well, she just told us, I guess.
No, because it does sound like a really good excuse to go back to Good Evening Ranch as well. Like maybe go out, see some cool people, experience that. And I love that you're like including things that aren't just wheeling based. It's something that I was thinking for. We were offered a weekend at one of our local properties to host an event. It's something similar to that, where it's like not necessarily the whole t-shirt and the whole thing like that, but like having a band seems like such a fun idea, because it's something that we lost out on when we had our Web Wheelers Ball, was being able to wheel all night. We didn't get that time after wheeling to like be able to hang out, chit chat, drink beers, shoot the shit with guys that like we had people come all over the place. You know, people we're talking to on the internet from different sides of the country that we don't get to see that often. And, you know, you don't really want a large group of people wheeling on trails, so you don't get to see everyone or get to talk to everyone. And having that where you could go to the barrel racing thing, go to the concert and hang out, eat good food, like that definitely adds a community side to it that I really enjoy. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's what I wanted, because like a lot of the off-road part is the community and connections you make, and I wanted some of that at the event too. Not, everyone goes back to their camp or their group and nobody hangs out. Like I wanted to kind of bring people together.
Luke?
Yes.
Okay, no, you did like an inhale, like you were just ready to lay down some inspirational shit or something. I didn't.
No,
He's
no,
crying.
Yeah.
but I missed where we were at. I'm gonna
all good.
assume that from what I just walked into, that we're talking about Shecrawls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell
Crazy.
yeah.
Talking about the event that I have coming up, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome. I forget exactly what the dates are on
The
that, but
26th. We just
April
went
26th.
26th.
April
Just that whole
26th.
weekend. Friday to Sunday. What the heck was that?
So I can tell you right now that I unfortunately will not be able to make that, but I will
Loser.
definitely share that because I
See.
have to work that weekend.
Man, that's lame as hell. Just quit your job.
Unfortunately,
We don't get
believe
paid
it or
enough for the
not,
podcast to quit our jobs.
it's been a net cost. It has not paid a cent out yet, so
If you
we'll
quit
get
your
there.
job to come, I will give you a free ticket.
I have
There
to
you
figure
go.
out if I'm still
Deal.
welcome on the property or if I'm going to get the angry eye.
Oh, you'll be fine. As long as you're not
I'm
pit biking
joking.
on the grass. Or
I'm
doing
joking.
donuts.
But that event is going to be solid, and I really liked some of the plans that you had in place to help, not structure it, but provide some support for it.
Thank you.
that we were
Yeah, yeah.
talking about.
I just felt like for the ticket price, there's not a lot of off-road events. Yeah, you're paying a ticket cost, but you're getting something for your money.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what you got to do, or it's got to be no cost besides the park. You have to either get something or, just
Yeah,
have it be what it
I'm
be.
not charging people to just come like wheel where I'm gonna be. Like no,
Yeah,
that's bizarre.
yeah,
You should do it.
that's.
Make
I
money off people coming to see you. Hell yeah. You should
Who
do it.
wants to see me? I'm nobody. I can't wheel.
Hey, we
Um,
said the same thing until I had some random dudes coming up to me making pegging jokes at me and then I'm just like, wait, who is this guy? Like, it's
Oh, dude,
crazy.
I have people come up to me and ask to take pictures with me, and I'm like, what?
What?
Why?
We're not that cool yet. We're not that. We're almost
I
there,
mean,
but
it's humbling, I guess, but like the first time it happened was at AOAA, and it really caught me off guard. Like in the picture, I'm like making the most weird face. I'm like, I don't even know. Like I'm trying to smile, but I'm like massively uncomfortable. And
I
then
had
we were all the way out in Moab for EJS, and we were getting the rig out of the trailer at some trailhead, and like this whole group of people in side by sides walked up to me and they were like, "Are you Shecrawls?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Can we take a picture with you? Do you have any swag or stickers we could have?" I was like, "Yeah." I don't know, just totally cool. I think, maybe Helen back enticed some of that, but I don't know, it's
Definitely.
cool, and if I'm, inspiring young ladies and women alike to off-road and wheel, then I'm here for it.
Yeah, but I mean, you also do have a pretty decent following too.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising that you have people coming up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I guess it surprised me. I mean, I'm just a normal, regular person, and, I'm standing in my two-car garage right now, and there's about 12 inches between Brent's tire and my knuckle, and there's shit everywhere. I mean, we're nobody special, nothing fancy, but we just love to wheel, and we're very passionate about it. We eat, sleep, and breathe off-road, so
Yeah. I will say that it is definitely an odd experience when you're used to being a nobody to have people know you or know your rig.
yeah, for sure.
Like,
We're doing a lot of changes to my buggy right now, and it's not, it's still gonna look the same. Like, I'm gonna kind of keep the main look of it, but we're cutting some tubes and panels out and stuff right now, so it's gonna be changed up. I'm gonna change the paint. I've got some new PRP seats to put in there, and got a switch panel, which I'm super excited about that. Yeah, everything. I mean, it is like all chopped up right now. I haven't been like sharing a lot of pictures of it just because, like, all the web wheelers out there are going to be like, "Ew, look at that weld," or "Why'd you do it that way?"
isn't that half the fun? Like, you purposefully post pictures of the worst stuff to argue with people, or is that just me?
No, that's literally just you on Club XJ.
Yeah.
That's you, Luke.
Okay. Well, I enjoy it.
Ugh,
Um,
I still
I
remember
mean,
when you.
I feel
Sorry,
like
go ahead.
that's an XJ shitbox thing to do, though.
No, it's just
no, I think that I would be doing it if I had anything else besides an XJ. Although I do enjoy having an XJ because you can do that more, if that makes sense.
Well, the guy who built my chassis was like a master fabricator and builds like custom railings and shit. So you can definitely tell what he welded versus what we have welded.
Don't ever look too closely at my rig or do. Like, I don't care, but it's terrible and I love it. It's mine.
As long as
the,
the
Yeah,
penetration's there.
the important part is as long as you don't die.
Yeah.
or if you
Yeah.
do, then it's
Don't
then the
die.
welds are no longer your problem. You know.
This is true.
Speaking about the two different welds thing, it's funny because like on my stiffeners, you can see where I was welding, then you can see where Luke was welding, and then you look at my front stiffeners, and it's like, oh, that motherfucker knew how to weld. It's like, wait, what happened here?
It's also very funny, and I'm throwing some shade at Logan because he needs it right now. You can tell where I've welded some stuff, and you can tell where he's welded some stuff.
Gotta love it.
That's
So
something I want to learn to do better is weld.
The biggest thing I'm gonna say with that, and like, I don't claim to be a good welder. I just know enough about welding to do my tool and die job. So like welding tool steels and sticks and all that other fun stuff. Uh, it's just repetition and time.
Yeah, I just don't have a very steady hand. Like I have this weird rare bone disease in my wrists, and like I don't have a super steady hand, so I feel like that works against me, but I think if I can get it to where like I position my hands right and rest them on something when I'm welding, that would help.
All right, so this is gonna sound like a really weird question. Do you shoot guns?
Yes.
Okay, so you know when you're like shooting a pistol, you kind of want to wrap both of your thumbs over.
Mhm.
Um, Instead of wrapping both of your thumbs fully over, because I have a bad problem where if I don't like have caffeine in the morning. I have terrible shakes sometimes.
Sounds like an addiction, by the way.
Yeah, it's definitely a caffeine addiction. There is zero denial there. Like, sip a cup of coffee and it goes away, but whatever. So when that happens, I end up having to grab the gun slightly like I'm holding a pistol and lay that lower hand in the glove against something to brace, and then just making small circular movements, pulling the pool in the direction that you want to, or pushing the pool, depending on what you're doing. But that technique right there, very, very simple, super easy to do, and will definitely help with the shaking.
Okay, I'll have to give that a try.
It
Yeah.
I think Brent at one point told me something like that, but I will definitely give that a try. I've got a bunch of scrap metal out here from cutting some panels out of the buggy. I'm gonna
Yep.
tinker on.
And another thing that's super helpful that you can do just to get the motion happy is if you can get two longer pieces, about a ½ inch in diameter, and I would say somewhere around 3/16, just so that way you're running the welder at mid power and not having to fight the like machine wanting to die. I'm not sure what type of machine you have, but like the general consensus would be that at max power you've got 20% weld time, so the more you turn it down, the more weld time you have before you're pushing the machine.
Just slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, slow it down, go to a slightly thinner, like 1/8 or 3/16, and do 2-inch stitch, move 2 inches, and you want to try and work on getting it to the point where you can't tell where one stitch ends and the other stitch begins as you work on filling it. And that will also help with a lot of, I mean, I guess that's more of a Cherokee type tip because I'm used to welding on Cherokees at this point a lot, but either
Luke,
way, you build fundamentals.
where were the pointers for me when it looked like Stevie Wonder's guide dog was teaching me how to weld, and like you have all this just magical knowledge sitting in the back? You're just like, figure it out, buddy. Like,
He doesn't like
Go
you.
fuck yourself,
I
Cody.
guess
That's
so.
I
I'm not
was in the
pretty, right?
I was in the getting shit done phase. I don't know if you noticed while I was working on your stuff, I was basically almost in a haze of just your front axle is getting done this way and then it's going under the rig, and like I was not in the mood to teach. I was in the mood to do.
That's fair. That's a good point. I like that. I can
I
get
get
behind
that
that.
a lot here in the garage with Brent. He gets to do all the cutting and welding, and I get to do all the bitch work and grind and sweep up.
It was one of those things though where it was like this rig
I had
had
to
been
say that because he's sitting right here.
Oh hell yeah. What up, dude? Break the fourth wall. Um But yeah, no, it was one of those things where Cody's rig needed to get done because we had a date that we wanted to get it out for, and we
And
were
we got
going to
fucked
make
by
it.
COVID. That was
Yeah.
literally the
Sometimes
start
you
of
just want to
COVID.
get things done.
Yeah,
I get that.
we did stiffeners, steering, front axle build, rear axle repair and rebuild, and all of that with gears and a full
Control arms.
suspension in a month and a half
Yeah,
from
that's a
like
lot.
bone stock. So we were getting it done.
It sounds like it. We're trying to do not quite that much, but we have a laundry list to do on my buggy right now, and there's just a couple things, and then it turned into like 20 things.
Isn't that the worst? And like that's what I'm currently dealing with. Is it's like, all right, cool. We're just gonna little.
You
full
get into
hydro
something, and then it's like a home project. Like you get into something, and then like you find something else, and you're like, oh well, now I need to change that, and then oh well, this wasn't ever even welded. Now we got to do that, and while
Yep.
we're at it, we might as well do this.
Yep.
Yep. And then it's like, all right, cool. Now all that stuff's done. Oh
What were we
hey.
gonna do at first?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, this all started with paint and installing new seats. And then we were out here and got a little tuned in one night, and let's just rip all the wiring out and get a switch panel. Ordered a switch panel like 1 a.m. after about like 10 Miller Lights. It was like, okay.
Sounds about right. The
Yeah.
That's
the
when I
normal Sorry, go ahead, Richie.
I'm just saying that's when I do my best work.
Yeah, but then you always got to come out the next morning and check it.
No, it's just believe in the drunk you. That's all you have to do.
I don't believe in drunk me for nothing. Nothing.
Oh,
I
Yeah.
did like my keys in the door the other day. Okay, like I'm good. Don't trust drunk me.
my slide. That's how I did my sliders. The fucking picture I have on Discord of me holding the bottle, that was at like 2 a.m, fucking in my garage while I was doing my sliders. I was blitzed out of my mind.
Remind
Oh
me
my
again, aren't you like cutting them up and changing them?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted clarification here.
Yeah, well, I like the way Graham's sliders are way more than I like mine.
Yeah, I will say that when I did my sliders, there were a few too many sliders that didn't help my production on those. And now they're so well tied into the rig that they're just a part of it. I would have to cut the whole rig up to get them out now.
Yeah, well, that's my thought process is change the sliders before they're too tied into everything else to change.
Makes sense. So, I have a question about Shecrawls that's entirely unrelated, but it's been we've been working behind the scenes on doing shirts and all that other fun stuff, and like we were supposed to have already done our pre-order and all that, and we're way behind. But how bad was the administrative side of things when you started getting into it?
Mm.
Well, I guess a
I mean, if
quick.
you have a good website, which I had offered to help with, I don't know if you were on the call then, but if you have a good website that like handles a lot of that for you, I mean, my website's pretty automated. I mean, it like generates reports for me, and it has like shipping within the website and stuff, and I don't know, it kind of handles all that for me.
Quick
I mean,
question: do you do
yeah,
drop shipping or do you do your own orders?
I do everything myself.
Oh yeah, okay.
My best friend has a badass DTF printer, which is a direct to film transfer.
Yeah, those things are cool.
Yeah, so if you need somebody to do your apparel, she's your gal. She can do drop shipping for you too, which makes it even more painless on your end if you're worried about the administrative side, all working full-time jobs and whatnot. But yeah, Simply Made Graphics, she's awesome. So I do all my designs myself and send them to her. She figures out the sizing for the shirts. She prints them. I pick them up, I bring them home, I have heat presses, I press them all here and then ship them out. And I mean, basically I just like go to my website, open up unfulfilled orders, print out the packing slip for each order, stack the apparel and the transfer with each packing slip, make it, package it, print the shipping label.
Yeah, I was just really curious because like your website's well put together and it seems to function.
I try
And
to just
it
keep it simple. I just partnered with JM Rigging Supply and I just added soft shackles. I'd like to get more recovery gear on there eventually, but he'll be making the soft shackles out in Utah and shipping those out to me, and then I will ship them out because I like to throw in like some candy and stickers and stuff in the packages.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so this is very minor tangent related to that, but like if you don't do that and you're shipping stuff, what is you doing, baby?
Yeah.
Like,
Like
I mean,
Stinky Fab never sending a fucking sticker, spending over X amount of dollars, and it's like, yep, nope, stickers are $10, sir. It's like, huh? In what world does that make sense? Or any? I mean, I've noticed that with a few companies where it's like, that's odd, but okay, thank you for my.
Yeah,
At
I
least you
feel like
got my.
stickers are a staple in the off-road world.
Yeah, it's free advertisement. I'm surprised that like some companies just don't do it. I don't know if maybe they just have like the minimum wage guys working on the packaging or something, and they just don't think of putting in
Well,
the stickers in. I don't know.
yeah, maybe I don't know. I can't answer that, but I like have a sticker printer and everything here, and like I thoroughly enjoy making them.
And like I can understand it with drop shipping because that's a little bit of a different animal, but like if we're doing stickers and stuff and sending those, like how hard
Well,
is
I
it to
mean,
slip a Jolly Rancher in?
when I first launched Shecrawls and like I wasn't totally happy with the quality of my apparel and everything, and that's part of why I took it over myself. But because nobody cares about your business like you do.
Hmm.
But I mean, even when I had someone doing drop shipping for me, I mailed them candy and stuff to put in the packages and stickers. So I don't know, but
Now,
it's been fun.
would you say your apparel line is more of like a lifestyle apparel, or is it more merch for you?
Um, well, I don't like to consider anything I do for me, um, but it's just off-road geared apparel. I'm trying to come up with. I just switched to make my shirts unisex because I had some dudes asking to order like the "Hit It with Your Purse" shirt, and
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hit
yeah,
it with your perk shirt. That's cool.
yeah,
So
I
definitely
was
hit
like
me up.
about to buy one.
Hit
uh
me up. I'll hook you guys up with one. But
also oh sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was to say I just had some guys hitting me up for some shirt designs, so I switched to unisex style shirts just to keep things simplified. And geez, I can't remember where I was going with this.
That's quite all right. That happens for us all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's just like I'm not like trying to become rich off of it. I'm just like,
it's an
if you
expensive
can,
hobby.
yeah, I mean, if you can make a little money off doing something you love, why not?
Oh yeah. Well, hell, just offsetting some of the cost because it's not a cheap hobby whatsoever.
It's
Like,
not. And when people give me shit about sponsorships and stuff like that, I'm like, I work hard to get those sponsorships, and I'm not rich, so why wouldn't I accept a sponsorship? I mean, obviously, I will only accept one if it's a company that I believe in and have respect for. But and like I actually want to run their parts. I mean, I've had some. I'm not going to like advertise some product on Instagram because they sent me a free one. But
yeah,
it
well, it's like in our case, we don't do sponsorships, but if we were to do sponsorships, it would have to be like someone or something that we actually cared about, you know, where or you know where I'm going with that? Like I
yeah.
don't really
We
want to
wouldn't
do
have to.
something.
In our case, we blah, 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 blah. Sorry, my tongue just decided to not work. In reality, we could kind of get away with it. Where somebody like in the Flex Rocks and Rollovers, if he has drive shafts per se that just don't seem to hold together, and every single video he is blowing up drive shafts and he's showing that, like that looks bad. But we're just not two dudes, pardon me. We're just dudes talking on the internet. We could just not talk about it, and nobody would know how bad it did. So
No,
technically,
I
we
don't.
wouldn't
I
have
don't mean
to.
like that. I'm talking about how me and Graham have the running gag of no sponsorships, but also like I would rather if we're gonna do it, have it be supporting a business in like one of our predominant areas like Tennessee or Massachusetts and then, work with them. Just
Yeah,
because like
I
we
get
know the
that.
people.
Yeah,
And
you want to
I'd
work
rather
with people you know and respect and people you want to bring value to their business.
No,
yeah,
I don't
well
give
I'm
a
not
fuck. If
gonna
somebody wants to pay me, I'll give them an ad reel any day. I do just if any company's listening, they don't have a choice in what goes into the episodes. I do. You want me to put a little ad for you? I got a Venmo. You can slide me some cash. I'll make an ad reel. We'll sell
Yeah,
out. I got you.
yeah.
on
That's
the
one thing I
opposite
don't
end
do.
of that. On the opposite end of that, I ain't gonna be like supporting anyone. Like, all right, so we're gonna shout out someone here or two someones here because they both work in the same space. But either Barrett or Built for the East, I would absolutely trust them to touch anything that I own. But
All your shafts.
Oh yeah.
oh fuck yeah.
you
Um, although I
send
don't
your
really.
you send your rig to Ricky, it might come back on Dana 30s.
Oof.
I think that if we were to put my rig on Dana 30s, we would have a problem. With the spare, a passenger, a full load of tools, and a full tank of fuel, it clocks in at 58
It's
before
heavy.
I took the doors off.
Geez, I've never weighed my buggy.
What?
Oh
You've
my
never put corner
goodness.
scales under that thing?
No. And like
What?
last time at the last X Rock comp I was at, like they were like, "Oh, the Melchners have them," and they're like, "Oh, we didn't bring them." And they were like, "Oh, TJ's got them," and TJ's like, "Oh, I let someone borrow them." And then like there was one other person that was supposed to have them, and he was like, "Oh, I left them at home." And I was all excited. I was gonna finally get to weigh my rig, but
You,
when the
you
day comes, I'm accepting Venmo money for bets on it because I'm super curious. Like super curious to know what it weighs. And I don't run water in my tires. I just don't want to put that stress on my transfer case. But
Mhm.
That's understandable with a Sammy case
Go
in there.
yeah,
down
I
to
mean,
the
it's
local
pretty
scrap.
solid. I mean, the only reason I split my transfer case in half at Windrock was because I've been running it for 2.5 years with no spline, no cradle, didn't even have it on rubber mounts.
Oh boy.
Oof.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
ran it that way for 2.5 years. So, I mean, honestly, it did really good. And even when it did split in half, I only lost the low speed gear. That's the only gear that got damaged. Like those trail gear kits are freaking solid.
Makes sense to me.
Japanese alloy, like they're just like solid.
Quick thing though, from what Richie was saying, I would stay away from scrap yards if you ever wanted to go weigh them somewhere. But go into like a place that like sells mulch or anything like that. Most of the time, the people are pretty cool, and you can just be like, "Hey, if I were to drive up, pull off to the side, and pull my rig off, can I just see how much it weighs?" And like, I don't know, you just put that nice smile on and like bat your eyelashes. I bet they won't care at all, and then you can
The
just quick.
problem the
Does it down
problem with that is though I would have to load it up into the 36-foot enclosed trailer and drive it there.
Fair. Okay, that's a fair point.
Yeah, like if it weren't for that, I'd have done had it at the way station off 81, like that's like 2 miles from my house. But I mean, there's always state troopers sitting there, and I don't think they'd appreciate me unloading my rig and driving it onto the scales. Not saying I wouldn't do it, but
I'm super glad I live in Tennessee because my vehicle has a title, and as a result of that, it doesn't matter. I can get away with murder as it's an old America car at this point. So, like, I don't have to have a windshield or anything like that. I only have to have functional turns and safety glasses with 2 rearward facing mirrors.
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
I
jealous.
can't even drive my buggy around my neighborhood without the neighbors getting pissed off.
Oh, jeez, that's pretty bad.
Not so I only said the scrapyard, Cody, because I've used the scrapyard down the road from my house multiple times to weigh random shit.
That's where the 5400 number came from for my rig before we did the modifications in the 4-link.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only reason why I'd say stay away from scrap yards is because of, what product is coming in, and the type of people that tend to do scrapping as a main job tend to not really give a fuck about what like drops on the ground and like screws and different things like that. And I'm sure, I don't
Well,
know.
my
Yeah.
scrapyard keeps the scale pretty clean.
Okay,
Yeah,
well then
they're
they're
nice
cool.
about that.
Most of mine don't. So like good. I'm happy that you guys do, but I've had so many screws and like work truck tires or like my tires, and I'm just like, God damn it, I should have fucking known better.
Although that mulch idea is fucking genius, Cody.
Yeah,
I'm
that
gonna
is.
have to
There's
venue.
a landscaping company not far from my house that might
Oh
not
yeah.
be a bad idea. But I also know lots of people that have scales, and I'll see them at the X Rock comps this season. So
Just
I'm
gotta
sure I'll
warn
get a
them.
weighed this season. Yeah, I'll tell them ahead of time. Like, please bring your scales. But I mean, I would never take my buggy to the scrapyard because it's such a piece of crap. They might just like scrap it.
Start dragging it in. You're like, no.
I'm proud to drive a Cherokee through there, so like you should be okay. They let my Cherokee leave. I was shocked.
Oh God, I can't imagine.
Yeah, no, it's truly terrible. Like, and the best part about it is the unibody is now so bent that the header panel looks like a boxer that has just gotten too many uppercuts. It's no longer like sitting right, and the whole thing's just tweaked. And yeah,
I definitely did not play a part into it looking more tweaked at all. Nope.
No,
Wasn't me.
no. This had nothing to do with you. I'm not blaming you at all. Now, if we're talking about the fact that my B pillars are now not even, and like one side on the driver's side's a little more crumpled than the other, that one I might say Cody had a thing to do
Hey,
with, but I would
I
blame
had-
the jackass that was spotting him.
I was gonna say I advised you that wasn't the line. You're like, nah, throw it in second and hit it harder. And I'm like, all right, yes, Captain. It just kept fucking doing it. But
And it walked right up it.
it did. It made Graham look dumb as he flopped it, and I didn't. So fuck you, Graham. Even though you're not here, bastard.
Yeah, well, he'll show up eventually.
Or he won't. This is the latest he's ever been. So this is pretty impressive.
Yeah, so
He just doesn't like me. He didn't want to come.
no, it's not that. It's
Maybe
literally
he was
just
scared. Maybe he's afraid to talk to women. It might be the
Mm,
problem.
I would normally agree
Like, as
with
you
that.
said that,
but,
I was like chugging my beer.
No, he now has a girlfriend. So like that's the joke before was maybe he was afraid to talking to women, but now sadly, it's not the case anymore. Now that joke doesn't hit as hard. Sad.
yeah, it just doesn't take any effect at this point. It's kind of a moot point. It's very sad. Although she seems nice, so like
She's great.
that's good.
She is. And she likes feeling. She likes go fast stuff. She was getting
Yeah.
angry with everybody else when they were. She was like, "Why do we have to wait for everyone? I just want to go drive." And yeah, it's kind of fun.
Like my
She
friend
was
Jill.
enjoying herself at AOP because we kept bebopping. Which now that we're going back to AOP, we'll talk about that for a second. But I want to get back to tires because that was fun.
Love just giving people shit about it because like like Mickey Thompson, Swampers, like they nobody hates on a tire like they hate on crawlers. They are
Uh,
the most hated on tire.
Treps
No,
might be the.
nope. Treps and Patagonias.
Oh,
Well,
Patagonia's.
I don't even like consider Patagonias, but
I don't know.
I was just thinking
Brendan
in like the
Carroll's
top
rocking the
sticky
Patagucci's.
contenders. Huh?
Treps get a lot. Treps get a massive amount of hate in New England, and they're viewed as an okay tire at AOP. They're not like top tier, so they get a lot of shit. They get the same amount of shit as crawlers.
Well, they just surprise me every time that I see somebody on a set. And like again, I've only ever driven one rig one time that was on a set of sticky Treps. So my opinion on this may vary, but like they never surprise me. But like when I see somebody on a set of reds doing something absolutely fucking nuts on like side hilling something that they absolutely shouldn't be stuck on, and it's just working. Like I've only ever been surprised by reds where like an SX didn't cut the sidewall. Whoop-de-doo. Well done, guys. You have a thick sidewall. Your Mickeys did surprise me because I mean they're kind of like an untested tire right now. They're new into the grand scheme of things. You're out wheeling. Again, I'm talking to you directly, Luke.
Yeah.
You were out wheeling with people on reds, with people on Treps. I don't know if we had anybody with SX stickies.
Wheeled with SX stickies since then too.
It was very surprising to just see them work just as well. And I probably shouldn't be as surprised. Sticky does what a sticky does, and that makes sense. But Treps just
It'd be
never.
like that.
I've never been impressed with a set of Treps.
So I view Treps as they're the generic, slightly expensive, you're paying for a performance tire where you don't want a red. Like, they operate in a similar sphere to a red, but they're more of a race tire, like a KR2 or a KR3 would be, and they excel as a race tire. The Mickeys, I'm very anxious to see what the 2024 Ultra 4 season has to offer. And by the way, there is an awesome podcast on that. If you give me 1 second, I will pull that up because I have to correct myself for some misstatements. But yes, I'm very curious to see how they do.
Why do you
Yeah,
think
I mean,
they?
I got my red labels because like a lot of the people I kind of looked up to in off-roading, that's what they had, and I didn't know too much about sticky tires in general. and I'd seen
Yep.
them perform. And then a lot of the comp guys I knew and watched, like an X-Rock ran red labels. And so, I had 37-inch mud claws on my buggy when I got
Oh,
it, and I'm
hell
not
yeah. Them
not
Pep Boy
making that up.
tires.
I could not even sell those. Like, I could not even sell them. I ended up trading them for something that I won't say, but I could not even sell them. And yeah, so then I found like this like super killer deal on these 39-inch reds, and they only had a couple trips on them. And I mean, I got a really good deal on them. And like I super super looked up to Holly. I still do, and she made the switch over to the reds, and I watched them perform for her on her Jeep, and I watched Marvin and those guys, and then all the comp guys running them, and I was like, I'm gonna go with the Reds.
Yeah, especially with like the style wheeling you do, it makes the most sense.
Yep, agreed. And
Yeah,
real
and I
quick,
wanted Bob Swinsky to like me.
real quick. So to correct all my Ultra 4 misconceptions, that would be the Slightly Heated podcast with Dave Cole, the owner of KOH, and all of that, talking about the Ultra 4 stuff. Now back to the tires thing. I like reds. They just would never work for me. I couldn't make them work if I wanted to, because my rig's such a pig. Like, I have to run 15 psi in my Mickeys to get them to be happy, and where I'm not, like, in danger of punching the sidewalls out.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it all depends on like your rig and your build
yep,
and everything too. What tire you run? Like for me, the crawlers work great. They're one of the lightest weight, if not the lightest weight sticky out there. I like to keep my buggy lightweight. And then, with all that torque I have with the crawl ratio I'm running, I mean, it just gives the tires time to hook and grab up.
exactly. Now, like, if we look at it from the opposite position, there is a very low likelihood that I ever gain any type of class and move away from this current XJ at the moment. I sold a chassis to keep this thing. So, like,
How dumb are you?
we already know that I'm on the autism spectrum. The hat gives it away. So the most likely thing is that my rig, as it spends more time at AOP, becomes an AOP based rig. Like, that's just the inevitability that I'm living in. And as I go to add more horsepower and more wheelbase to it, something like a crawler is just not going to be the right tire. And if they make a
Yeah,
42
I get that.
Baja Boss, I would consider it, but then the only other tire that's really appealing to me for where I wheel, how I wheel, and like even if I put my rig on a weight loss diet, like let's be real, by the time that you have a passenger, a spare, and some spare tools, a Cherokee buggy's gonna be 5K. I need a tire that will happily hold up to a 5K rig.
SXs.
Yeah, and that's just the answer. So that's why I say, like, in my case, referencing the Facebook post, SX Master Race, because that is the
Oh,
only
Red
thing
Master
that's
Race.
gonna
No,
Reds.
no.
I would
It's okay to
shred
be
a set of
wrong, Luke.
Reds.
It's okay. It's okay to be wrong. I'm
Listen,
just teasing. I'm teasing.
Giving everybody
I know.
shit on Brendan's posts because Brendan and I are buddies, and I know he's a crawler guy. And he
Oh, I'm
already
just
told me, like, prior to that post. I mean, I was totally giving everybody shit, being sarcastic. And so I was just giving everybody shit because I already knew he's going to put reds on it because he had told me before he was even getting that rig and sent me pictures of it. But also, like, I pulled up the calculator, and the crawl ratio on that new rig he got, it's like lower than mine.
yeah, and like for me, I would fucking hate that. Like,
I mean,
if
that's probably not the best rig for Brendan,
no,
but because we all know he likes the skinny pedal, but
yeah, and that's my
it
problem
also
too.
well, it also just he might decide he likes it. He might change up his wheeling style. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I just think with how stupid low that thing is geared, like with the low max gears and all that, like I just
Yeah.
think that a red label would be a better tire for that. But at the same time, I've only ever ran mud claws and reds.
Yeah. So like in my situation,
Say
my
mud
crawler
claw.
mud
Huh?
claw.
Yeah, what is a mud claw?
I don't even know.
It's
It's whatever was on my buggy when I bought it.
it's
I
like
don't
a
think I've ever
It's a
heard of it.
Mickey.
DOT MT type tire.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a
was this
weird.
the cheaper like the Amazon ones, or I remember seeing those on something. Hold on, I gotta Google this because I'm curious.
Yeah,
Mud
I mean, the
claw.
mud claw, it's like the mud knockoff crawler. I don't even know.
Oh
I mean,
yes,
just
okay,
the
yes, I do
name of
know
the tire just cracked me up.
it.
Like the buggy came home and I immediately looked at the tires and I was like, "What the fuck is a mud claw?"
yeah, those are
They had
atrocious.
like brand new tread on them, and we had 4 of them, like practically brand new tread. I couldn't even sell them for $200.
I believe it. I fucking
Nobody
believe
wanted
it.
them, and I live like 20 minutes from West Virginia, and nobody wanted them.
Yeah, I believe that. Um, and at FNF, Reds are the king. At AOP, it's SX's. Out west, fuck it, run whatever the fuck you brung because it literally doesn't matter. And
Drag
do
slicks.
stickies matter really that much? Like,
They really
if
don't. They can almost get you in trouble out west because there's just so much traction. I mean, I would walk up to an obstacle and look at it and be like, "This is gnarly," and then just freaking crawl it.
yeah,
Not
and
skip a beat. I mean, bebop right up through there, like no problem.
like your definition of bebopping is definitely different than my definition of bebopping. My definition of bebopping involves gratuitous amounts of rev limiter. So
And really
like,
sketchy jumps at
That's like
Roush.
yes.
that's like
Really sorry.
beboppity.
Okay, beboppity.
Yeah, it's
Bebop.
more like boppity bop. Like you
Yeah,
boppity
well
bop
like
through there. I kind of like bebop, kind of cruise through, working the rear steer, like boop
uh,
boop.
no, I'm just straight up aggression. It's like, all right, this fat pig's gonna make it in first with a 3.8 into a 4-1 with 513s. Okay, this pig didn't want it in first. It's gonna love it in second, and away we go. It's just like a rocket ship. And if it
Yeah,
doesn't like it in second, we roll back, and
and
if you
slam third.
give me 15 feet of run up and let me just bang some limiter in third, and we're gonna see whether or not that 1310 front drive shaft decided life is good today or not.
Yep, Brent pulled one of those roll back and drop it into thirds when we were at the sand mines in Caryville, Tennessee last, and in the Rubicon on 513s manual. It was fucking hilarious. Like he literally catches air, like the front like jumped.
Cody
I'm
can
pretty
attest.
sure that's when he like broke like the front output shaft.
Oh yeah,
That would do it.
Cody can attest that I'm just a bit of a hoonigan though. So like my rig, if there is something that is remotely jump shaped, it's going
Oh my
off of it
God.
at some point. It doesn't matter if it comes off of it sideways if I can cut into it on the way down.
I don't think my kidneys have ever healed from that moment. Like we hit, like it wasn't that bad, but like I don't know. I think it just the way that the jump hit, like it hit on the passenger side so much harder, and I'm like, okay, I'm over this. Like we hit that jump how many times? 4 times.
We
Just
hit that
oh,
jump like 4 times, and we were doing like third gear and fourth gear through the greens at Roush in the back of the park, trying to get out for curfew. Like
I could
we
never
were.
hit a jump.
I don't recommend it because
Like my
it'll change
axle
your
shafts
life.
would probably like shoot right out the bird.
it
See,
just
and
lose
like
everything.
I
so,
mean,
like
it wouldn't be good. Like there'd be like shafts and output shafts, axle shafts, drive shafts flying from like every direction. They'd be like impaling everybody. It would be bad.
so like at this point, I am so Stockholm syndrome into Cherokee ownership that I set my 04 axle up where the unit bearing is pre-staged ready to go. All I have to do is pop a lockout in. And after doing this multiple times, they now get ratchet strapped down to the bottom of my B pillar, and all of my tool bags go on top that then get ratchet strapped down on top of those. So,
Craziness.
it's great. And air bumps are in my future.
Maybe that would help. Maybe that would be the difference. I think just hitting that hard bump was just not fun. It was aggressive.
It's not a rig that's supposed to be elegant or fast. It's really shockingly good at it, but also terrible. And so like I don't know how a moon buggy would be going fast because like I don't know what the wheelbase is on that thing.
107.
107.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. That might be just fine then.
Well,
mind.
actually, we did have to crank my links in a little bit when we put the crawl box in, so I might be at like 106 now.
Whatever. Close enough for government work.
something
I'm
like that.
running 110, so it's no different.
Yeah.
How
The
wide is
buggy
that
is
thing?
like actually like quite deceiving, like versus seeing it like on socials or on YouTube and then seeing it in person. People are always like, wow, like that thing is way smaller than like what I thought it
So
was. And everyone always thinks my tires are bigger than 39s too, because they just look massive on the rig. The width, let me like from tire to tire.
yeah, like the outside edge of tire to outside edge of tire.
Yeah. I don't have the tires on right now, but I can give you an idea. I want to say it's like 95 or I mean
Fuck, that's
85.
all
Sorry.
right. That
I
makes
was
a
gonna
lot
say
more sense.
95 was big. I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit.
I'd say about 85. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm running right at that like
Brent says 76,
85.
but I believe I've measured it before and it was with the tires on and it was like 80 something. But he's shaking his head no at me.
I would believe 77 on toys for
Yeah, that-
sure. Because that would track. Because I'm
Unless it's like
sitting at
100% offset wheels.
Well, I'm
Like,
running
yeah,
like
like
massive
Dewey.
wheel spacers too.
Ooh,
but
okay, so that
even
could help
then
it.
they're
No,
like
I'm just kidding. I just said
Oh.
that. I just said that and looked at Brent real quick because I just wanted to see what his reaction.
Yeah. see if you could get the head shake of disapproval.
Yeah, pretty much.
She's running dually
Understandable.
wheels backwards. They just stick it all the way out. Be funny.
Yeah, because toys should be like 50. If we're talking about IFS hubs on there, they should be like 58 WMS to WMS, and then add about 10
WMS.
inches.
I don't have IFS hubs.
All right, so then wait, it was 60 with IFS hubs. I'm sorry. Those are 2 inches wider.
Yeah.
So then
These are like from an
77
85 pickup or 85
77
4Runner.
makes sense. And I'm sitting at like 84, 85, depending on how much air I'm in. So like I overhang a simple car hauler a little bit, but it's not terrible. You just have to be careful loading it.
Brent says like 78, but
That would make perfect sense because that would
yeah.
be 5 inches
Where
of
are my
back
tires?
spacing.
Okay, we'll just measure it from hub to hub and then go measure one of the tires. The great debate.
I mean, it was just a point of curiosity in relation to going fast because, like, I've always
I like
wondered about.
hyper fixate on things, so now like I won't stop until I know.
Oh,
Makes
Luke
sense.
gets that completely. You should ask
Yeah,
him about
no.
tropical fish.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like if I get into like I'm a hobby hopper too, like except for off road, that's the one thing that sticks. But like I'll get hyper fixated on something and can't let it go.
Yeah. So I have a couple of
I'll have
like.
to learn every single thing about it and get
Yep.
like really good at it, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Luke,
Yeah, I hyperfixate on things and then remember like 90% of the hyperfixation years later, and it's
Oh, yeah.
terrible.
It's like photographic memory, kind of.
Yeah, and then like you have to explain to people that don't understand that where you're coming from, and it's like, no, I have seen this before. It is this.
Yeah, it's
Trust
like,
me.
no, I was an expert in this at one point in time, and probably like 100 other things too. So,
Yes, I would happily have gone to a debate club about this just to piss people off. But here we are now, and
wait, did you measure the tires? Okay. Oh, he's got the calculator out.
Oh, he's got
excellent.
this.
Now I gotta know.
So, how did you end up involved
Am
with?
I right? I must be right because now he's measuring again.
I'm just saying, 85's fat for a fucking rig on toys.
Well, that's how when she said 90, I was like, oh my god. I'm like,
Well,
maybe this thing is way
it said
bigger.
95, and then I was like, no, 85.
Because, like, my rig's fat, and my rig's on. Right now, it's sitting at like 85 with a Cherokee body over it. So, like, my tires aren't inside of my fenders, and not to be weird, but I've seen your rig at the meet and beat. I was riding with TJ and or was
My
it
rig?
TJ? Little Red
My
TJ.
rig? The trail trash?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
you
trail
were
trash
there?
meet and beat. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I
I
was
thought I
riding with
asked earlier, like, who are you
we're
riding
there.
with? Were
You
you?
did, but I was probably having to deal with other stuff and slightly distracted, so I apologize.
Were you with the trail trash guys when me and Dylan were at Little Caesars?
I was with I was only there for one night, and it was
Oh.
with his name's escaping me, and I know he listens, which really pisses me off.
What rig?
To Red
Jeff Miles?
Tennessee TJ.
Oh, I'm not
Um,
sure.
Is it
his
Cody?
name's escaping me, and I really feel bad about
Wait,
that.
is it a
but
red TJ?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Tennessee
Jeff.
TJ. No, it's not
Oh.
Jeff.
Oh.
Thought it was Jeff too.
Yeah, it's not Jeff. We had him on the podcast.
Oh my god, that's
Or-
even worse. And now you don't remember his name?
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's
You're
really
such a
bad.
horrible person.
Okay. All right.
Guilty as
Joseph
charged. Yeah,
Joseph
Joe.
Tyler Carr.
Jojo Carr.
Oh, okay. I know
Sorry,
who
I
that
was
is.
riding with Jojo,
Gotcha.
and I was there with Graham as well. So like, I was only there though Thursday night, and I was there from. I think we showed up at the meet and beat for like 2, and I left there at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, nobody really talked to me there. Like
What?
I'm not AOP breed. Like a couple people passed me on the trails and were like, Shecrawl, what's up? But I'm just not AOP breed.
I will say one weird experience we had at AOP was we were there for Thanksgiving, and we had some drunk motherfuckers coming on over, and it was hilarious. But it was also a little bit awkward because we're trying to be polite and like not, be dicks about it, but we also don't want to go and pound shots with you. It's fucking cold. We have a nice warm fire going. We paid for all this firewood and we're gonna burn through it, type of a deal.
Yeah. We were camped like right to the entrance on the left.
Yeah, by the buggy entrance, or not buggy entrance, by the normal entrance.
Yeah, like right across the road from the house.
Yep, nestled in that little cove. Yeah, we must have passed you like 4 times that night because we were out fucking late that night.
Yeah, I remember that group going in and out late.
Sorry. And you got to hear gratuitous amounts of rev limiter from the mountain, which was probably cool.
Yeah, we love that.
They do not love that at Good Evening, just as a heads up.
No, they do not.
They don't want to hear my 16 valve, my squirrel power.
You got
They
4
might. They
angry
might be-
squirrels.
They might be all right with that one, but red dot at 3 in the morning. No bueno. They didn't like that.
No, I
Oh,
imagine
shit.
not.
427 screaming. But
So how did you get involved with the social media marketing side of X Rocks? Like, what was kind of the path that got you to that point?
Um, I went to compete in the amateur comp SLRC and went up and watched the X Rock guys and was just like, this is fucking badass. I have to be involved in this. And then just kind of introduced myself to Hans and I was like, I freaking love this. Like, do you guys need more volunteers? Do you need help? Like, I wanted an excuse to be here. um, so that was kind of that. And yeah, so I do that. I help. I don't do all the social media. Tiffany Andrews does some of that too. But we kind of like bounce things off each other. If she's too busy to do something, I'll do it. Vice versa. I help edit reels occasionally, things like that. I just do. I just do behind the scenes stuff. We'll leave it at that.
Hell yeah, sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. I love it. It's kind of the same thing I do as project manager at Flex Rocks Rollovers. Just a lot of behind the scenes kind of stuff.
Marvin's fucking awesome.
Marvin
Yeah,
is extremely awesome. He is Flex Rocks Rollovers is his baby. He has worked so hard on it. He's very protective of it, understandably so. And the fact that he trusted to bring me on as the project manager just blew my mind. And
One of
we've become friends over the past couple years, and it just he was just kind of asking me some things one day, and it just kind of happened, and I was like, oh yeah, like absolutely. So I basically I run Shecrawls, Clutch social media management, and web design. And then I'm project manager with Flex Rocks Rollovers, and I can kind of balance the three, here working from home because not one of them is a full-time job. And then when the weather's right and my free time, I thoroughly enjoy detailing vehicles.
Hell yeah, that sounds like a busy life. And then
It
some
is,
wheeling
and
somewhere in between there.
yeah, I mean, and sometimes like I put too much on my plate, so I'm probably gonna scale back the detailing. But I love it, and I'm really good at it because I just get very detail oriented, which I'm sure Luke can relate to that. And yeah, I mean it's fun. And you know what's funny? I call it she shines.
That's so good. I
That is
love
I
that.
love that.
So I have to ask, do you ever get obsessed with the function over the form? Because that's been one of my crippling things is I don't care what it looks like, I care how it works. It's got to work how I want it to, otherwise, like it could look like a literal tube cube,
Things
but
need to
like
be proper internally before I worry about anything externally. Like,
exactly.
yeah, like I don't like take a weld for instance. Like if I'm welding something, like I don't care if it looks pretty, like if the penetration's not there in the weld, like it's no good. Like
Yeah.
I just know it has to be done proper, like from the inside out, like, and that kind of applies to everything.
So I get asked a lot about 1-ton swaps. It's like kind of my forte is talking about them and helping people with them. And I'm like, the most important thing that you're going to do is figure out the suspension that you're going to bolt that axle to. Because, like, you could have the most bulletproof axle, but, like, if your suspension's shit, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Brent's dealing with that right now. He's currently building a 1995 Tahoe on leaf springs and putting tons under it for a friend of ours. And I can't remember what he told me today, but something about when the shocks were dropped, it was like twisting real bad.
That sounds obnoxious, and I could not
It's
deal with that.
it's going to be obnoxious, but it's going to be really cool.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's not going to be cool, but I mean, that type of problem is obnoxious and drives me up
Oh.
the wall, so I have to fix that.
Oh yeah,
Otherwise,
they're
I
gonna
don't
fix
function.
it. They're gonna fix it. I think they're gonna have to like rebuild the shocks or something. I don't know. Like I can tell you a lot about Toyota stuff, but 1-ton stuff is still
One
fairly
ton
foreign
stuff
to
is
me.
really simple. 99 to '04 is
Yeah.
the birthplace, and '05 plus is the finish line. Everything
Yeah, I
else
do
is
know
just kind
that.
of generic.
I do know that. I do know, like, I can tell Dana 60 from a 14 bolt from a 9-inch, all that. Like, I know that much. But as far as axles go, I could tell you more about portals than 1-tons.
Yep, understandable there. Just like I was saying though earlier, my thing is I cannot let functioning not like I just can't let that go. So like in Connecticut where I used to live, they were very, very, very picky about cages. So if you had a roll cage that interfered with the front of your windshield, that was considered a massive no-go. Like you could not see it almost if you're looking out. Like you could kind of see the A pillars and like maybe say that that's like a mounting basket type of thing. So when I built my cage as low as I possibly could, and there was no way to perfectly follow the body line as much as I wanted to. But I wanted it so that way if I ever got pulled over when I was street driving the thing, that like there was no way they could bitch about the cage, and I would check all of the boxes for the strength. So like it's all built in nodes, it's all everything on it is a triangle. There's nowhere that isn't a triangle. Um
Yeah.
and all of that, but like as a result of that, I ended up with a slightly weird XJ cage in the grand scheme of things. But I drove that thing in Connecticut for 3 years and never got pulled over about the roll cage.
It was functionally solid.
Yeah, it's incredibly functionally solid. Now
Yeah.
I've got double A pillars built off of it, double B pillars, and like she's a chunky cage with double C pillars as well. So like if I want to crush that rig, I actually have to put some effort in.
Put that past you. But
Give it a couple years. Um,
yeah. So yeah, I'm right there with you though. I'm very particular about things, and like when I take things apart on the rig, like I have to like brake clean all the parts, clean everything up. Has to go back together better than it was before. Very
Yep.
meticulous.
Yep, and like when I'm working on stuff, drives Logan up the wall because he's like, this is a mess. It's like, no, the pliers are at my left hand, so I can grab them with my left hand while I'm using my right hand to support the axle shaft to get the stupid snap ring out. And then on the
Oh my
opposite
But what, you
side,
don't love snap rings?
no, I have a massive amount of hatred for snap rings.
I do too. They are not my friend.
They are a daily bane of my existence, and a metric 8mm snap ring is about enough to make me want to go and check myself into a mental hospital.
I get to the
Um,
point with mine where I throw the snap ring pliers across the garage and I just grab 2 flatheads or flathead and like a pick that's like got like a curved end on it, and I just like pry that bitch off.
yeah,
Yeah.
so like that's cool and all, except Ford on the '04 and '05 Super Duty axles is like, yeah, this bitch is buried at the back of the locking hub mount. So you
Yep.
better have long snap ring pliers, or you can just straight up get fucked and forget about this because getting a pick in there.
It'd be, oh my god, that would suck.
Yeah,
I had my
I
first
hate snap
experience.
rings like so bad. I just recently rebuilt my transfer case and I got it all back together and I looked down and there's a fucking snap ring on the table I forgot to put in.
Oh
Yep.
no.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
I
I've
got it.
gotten to the point where with Cherokee transfer cases, I can put an SYE in under the rig without dropping the cross member. but like I went out and spent $150 on snap ring pliers and the internal snap ring pliers where you have to like, or the external, I'm sorry, where you have to spread them and they don't
those are
have
the
like the little
worst.
eyes. Yeah. Yeah. No. Terrible design, absolute hatred. Whoever designed that, I hope that their existence in hell involves having to assemble them with bare fingers for the rest of eternity.
They're the
Jeez
worst.
Louise. Yeah, I got to experience the 05 Plus snap rings this past weekend as we were pulling my 05 Plus. Blah, 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 blah. Jeez Louise, I can't talk today. Pulling it apart, and that is a motherfucker. That is not easy, and not to mention like you have to have fucking strong hands to do it too. Like once you get it in and like you squeeze it to the point that you're like, oh yeah, that's plenty. Oh no, you got to go a whole another inch like outwards to spread it and pull it over the splines. That is a pain in the ass. That is
Yeah, we're gonna
not
put a
my friend.
snap ring on a recessed groove on a recess behind the splines. So you're like, cool, I got this thing moving, and then you hit the splines and you have to open it up more.
Yeah. Oh my
Harbor
gosh.
Yeah.
Freight, their $100 set of the Ion snap ring pliers includes the perfect pair for it, and I would happily pay $100 for that pair of pliers just on its own again.
I'm gonna have
Good
to.
old Harbor Freight.
Yeah, that
Everything
was a
I
great
wanted
time.
for Christmas was at Harbor Freight, and Brent waited till like the Saturday before Christmas to shop.
Typical
And
man.
like
Same.
he was like, "Everything you want at Harbor Freight." I was like, "Yep, you
That
got
makes it
lucky."
nice and easy.
Yeah, but then the one thing I really wanted, they were sold out of. I really wanted that gold ion torque wrench.
That's obnoxious. I wanted a
Sick. I
Do
love
you
it.
even know how obnoxious I am? I got the whole color chrome wrench
I was saying
set.
that they were out of it is obnoxious.
Oh, no, I got no. The color chrome wrench set is obnoxious. And I got the color chrome half-inch socket set.
Oh my gosh.
And I wanted the color chrome Allen wrenches too, but they were out of those also.
Damn.
I've already used them all and scratched them all up.
I
Oops.
love Allen wrenches. They're my favorite as far like socket head screws are my favorite bolts to work with at this point, and I don't have a good reason why, but like they just
He got me like a different set, and it came with handles, which I actually hadn't seen that before.
They're like the T-handle ones.
Well, no, they're like Allen wrenches, but like they have little handles you can clip onto them, and it's like essentially like
Oh
a
shit.
socket / screwdriver.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was like really nice.
I will say I do like those too, Luke. After like you kind of pushing those to me, saying like, "Hey, these are much better. These are much better." I fucking love them. They just I don't know. You can act like it feels to me like you can just get a nice solid like tighten or loosen out of them, and they're quite
well
nice.
also like
Better
general
than
or
tappet screws.
yes. Generic the generic ones that you can buy are either grade 10 or grade 11, so they are slightly tougher than your generic grade 8 bolts.
Mhm.
And they cost the same. So for me, that's a massive win. And then on top of that, like it's a hex socket. You can beat it in. If that doesn't work, they're easier to cut off than a normal bolt head too.
Yeah.
Guys,
But
I think Brent is just dying. He's not in on this conversation right now.
we should have had him on. Why didn't we think about that? Now I feel bad that we didn't have him on. We'll have to.
He's
We'll have.
been on a couple podcasts with me, but he's a talker, man. He's like a Hans or Anthony.
We'll have to get him on his own then. We'll have him get in contact. We'll
Oh
shoot the
God,
shit with him.
he'd love that. He would love that.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
I hope his schedule's free in about a month. Because right now we've got about a month lined up.
I'm
So,
sure it will be. The government will probably be shut down by then.
Sounds about right for this time of year.
Yeah, he'll probably be on what's it called? What's it called when furlough?
Furlough.
Yeah.
Furlough.
Yeah, he works at FEMA.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, I just followed him, so I'll message him and we'll try to figure out we'll figure something out and see what we can make happen with him, because that would definitely be a fun story to chitty chat with him.
Make sure that you watch the Flex Rocks Rollovers Wild Ride YouTube episode before. Just so like you like can gauge his personality. I
Perfect.
guarantee you you will be in stitches watching him wheel that Jeep.
I'll definitely have
Or
to check
about
it
it.
out. Now,
It's pretty funny.
we are slowing down slightly, but I do have another question that I'd love to ask. Actually, I have two questions. One of
Sure.
them is stupid, but we'll see if. Do you have any small animal facts?
What?
So it's been an ongoing thing since, I mean, shit, probably over 100 episodes ago. We started talking about raccoon facts, and I've always loved throwing in a
Oh.
random wrench in the question. Do you have any small animal facts?
Oh man. Mm.
All right, I'll leave
I
you on that
mean-
one for now. But
Well, I mean, I mean, a tiger is not a small animal, is it?
no, I'll take it
No,
though.
but we'll take it.
Tigers like pepper?
I did
Really?
not know that.
It's from Hangover, guys. The movie.
Oh, I see. I didn't watch The Hangover. I'm sorry.
Alan.
Ellen.
Um,
No.
well-
What a bomb.
with my special interest, you're not going to find me watching movies. Now, I'll watch a 3.5 hour long history documentary and not blink more than twice. But, anyways, interesting other
Are you just
tiger-
forever? Are you forever on Adderall or something, Luke? Like, cause that's what happens
No,
to
this
me.
is just my
I sure
normal
am.
life.
I most certainly am. I do not function without it.
Love
no, this
it.
is just my normal life.
Holy moly.
So, other interesting tiger fact, but did you know that the tribes in the native areas where tigers are found, like I forget exactly how far back it dates, but I want to say it was discovered that about 600 or 700 years ago, people started painting eyes on the back of their head because tigers
Scare
don't
the
like it.
tigers away.
Yeah, tigers
That's
don't like
cool.
it when you're looking at them.
what?
Whatever show you saw that in, I watched it too.
Yep. So
That's
that's my
crazy.
tiger fact, because they think if you're looking at them that you can, attack them before they attack you, and they prefer to be an ambush predator so they don't get hurt because, for them to eat, every time that they have to go and eat, they have to kill something. So,
Honestly, shout out to the person who ever thought of that. Like the first time they're like, "Oh, look at this dumbass with eyes on the back of his head." It's like, well, I didn't get eaten by a tiger, and your cousin did. So who's really dumb? Like, that's got to be such a interesting thing to experience. Now, all right, taking away from the animals, let's do a quick little synopsis on how was your experience wheeling for 24 hours straight. Like, that's got to be so draining. I couldn't even imagine trying to do that, especially at Field and Forest where it's not a walk in the park 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I was so pumped up. Like, I was just excited that Matt Merrick had to winch more than me. And but he did make the bonus lines. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I was so freaking pumped up the whole time. Like when it was over, Brent was like fried. He was ready to leave, like right then and there. And I was like, no, let's stay and hang out and this and that. And we had like a 10 to 12 hour drive home. And he's like, nope, we're leaving. It's time to go. I'm done. I'm ready to get home. And we get about 30 minutes down the road. He's falling asleep. I was still so pumped up. I hopped in the truck and towed about 3 hours before I pulled us into a hotel after being up for 24 hours wheeling.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like I was that pumped up from it. Like I am a total adrenaline junkie. And it was just such an awesome experience. And all the people that were there were just so amazing. The New Englanders were honestly my favorite, some of my favorite people. I mean, yeah, I mean, I love Marvin and Brendan and stuff, but I don't know if you know Eugene Whitford.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, God, I love Eugene. Like, he is my buddy. And Paul Barnes.
Yes. Paul Barnes is great. He's awesome.
I freaking loved Eugene and Paul and Bob. Like,
Yeah.
I love them. And I probably talked to Bob and Eugene more than I talked to anybody else there, like in the downtime. I mean, my God, if I ever didn't move out west, I would freaking move to New Hampshire.
Yeah, New Hampshire. That's actually funny enough where I want to end up.
It's so
it's
beautiful
nice.
there,
Yes.
and there's field and forest. And then I guess there's like a place I've been hearing about, Badlands,
Well, so
or where
sadly,
like the jungle or something. I don't know.
so
I heard there's like some other really cool place up there.
there's a few. There's actually quite a few, and currently one of the like out our area to wheel in certain places, you have to be a part of a club. But unless you know people, like if you knew any of us, we
The
could.
4-wheel drive northeast, whatever. Blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
the NEA. So
Very
sadly,
expensive.
Badlands was a really, really fun property, really unique style trails. It almost gave Field and Forest vibes, but kind of like a weird mix with Roush because the rocks had a little bit more traction to them. But sadly, the landowner kind of screwed up, and now he no longer is open to have us go there. But hopefully down the road that does change. The jungle is also a really, really fucking cool place. From what I'm told, there's not that many hard obstacles, but it's a little bit vast. Like you can kind of go and just explore. And then there is quite a few. Like there's one obstacle called the half pipe, which is like the most known at the jungle. But definitely, if you in a few years from now, once the Rockaholics guys, which is a club that Chris and oh my gosh,
Mike.
Paul Barnes, Mike, like all of those guys are a part, which is like the quintessential buggy club is what we'll call it. The Cool Kids Club is the other nickname for it. They have their own property that they are currently leasing and cutting trails on. So I think wait a few years, come back and go and explore there and Field and Forest and all other places. It'll be you guys could set up a really, really sick weekend for yourselves.
Yeah, that would be cool. I want to have like a weekend to spend time on some of the red trails at Field and Forest. I
Yeah.
actually was invited to run Humble Pie, but
Really?
yeah, but then I did something that was kind of frowned upon really late at night.
Oh yeah.
And
Did
my
you go?
my punishment was was having my Humble Pie invite retracted.
Oh.
He was
Oh,
like,
jeez.
maybe next year.
Oh no.
It's okay. It's okay. We're still all good. I still sat and drank with Bob and Liza all night after that. But
Yeah.
just don't do donuts in Camp 8 after dark, or probably any time,
Yeah, probably any
and
time would be the
especially
best.
not at like 1 a.m.
Yeah, that
frowned
sounds
upon.
like recipes to get Bob all bothered.
Well, somebody told him, and like I didn't know I disturbed the peace. And somebody told him, and he didn't know who it was. They didn't know who it was, and I found out he heard. So obviously, I owned up to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
I was like,
responsible of you.
Bob,
That's
I was
quite
like,
nice.
I just want you to know that was me. I'm very sorry. One of your locals told me to do it. It's all their fault. No.
Blame the locals always.
No, but yeah, so but anyways, like my hope is to one day get invited to run Humble Pie again.
Humble
That'd
Pie
be
is cool. Bob is also a cool dude, and that property is sick.
Oh, for sure.
So,
I was recently had a subscriber spotlight in Forlow magazine, and it was like one of the questions is, what are your favorite parks to wheel? And it was like, definitely Field and Forest is one of them.
for
What were
sure.
your other choices?
Good Evening Ranch and Area BFE out in Moab.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
no love for AOP. Damn, I see how it is.
No, it stinks. There's no traction there.
We didn't know our way around. We didn't really have a group to wheel with, and like,
I'll be
Well,
honest. I just like going to AOP and bebopping around all the blue and black trails there. Like, I don't have to have a set direction or know my way around the park. I just have a good time with it. And now I Stockholm syndrome myself into loving it and also knowing my way around the park.
yeah.
It's
Well, I mean,
terrible.
you said you live real close to it, right?
Yeah, I live an hour
So
away.
yeah, so that's your home park. I'm like 30 minutes from my home park. I'm 3.5 from Roush, 3.5 from AOAA, 3.5 from Good Evening Ranch.
damn.
So does that mean that we might see you at the Web Wheelers Ball in Labor Day weekend?
Yeah. You should come up
Yeah,
and hang out.
definitely. I will definitely come for that. I think it was on
Yeah,
my radar last year, but it didn't work out.
yeah.
Probably for the better.
The only thing about Roush is, man, it's so expensive.
That's Luke's biggest problem with it too.
I mean,
Hi.
it's so expensive, and like, I mean, yeah, you can camp in the parking lot for free, and that's cool. I mean that makes up for a little bit, but I mean, I heard they were raising the rates a little more even, and it's just like,
Oh,
whew,
what?
Yeah,
when you
but
have to travel to get there, it just, it adds up, and I'm sure they have their reasons, and you know, I'm sure they have their reasons for raising the rates, but it's just tough. It's tough, and
Oh, 100% agreed. That's the only time that I go and wheel Roush is for the Web Wheelers Ball for that reason. And
yeah, but
like,
if you have to buy the annual pass now to go, then you might
Mhm.
as well go as many times as you can.
nah, it's 12 and a half hours away from me. I'm not doing that to myself to go wheel there more than once a
True,
year.
true. I
It,
get that. It's just
it
it's just a little pricey, and
oh,
it's gonna price
120%.
some people out,
Oh, for sure, without a
And the
doubt.
thing
and that might be what they're trying to do. Who knows?
The thing with like Good Evening is that if you and a buddy want to split a cheap cabin, like by the end of the weekend, you're into it for like $200. That's like
It's
the
so
first
affordable.
day gate fee at Roush. That's
Yeah,
where
I
my
love how
grumblement.
affordable the ranch is, and it's just a beautiful
Mhm.
property. The trails are fun, and man, the cabins are nice. They're
Oh,
very
Yeah,
yeah.
they
well
are.
maintained. They're very clean. Um,
Yep.
I love Bobby and Billy and Amy and Matt, and gosh, Bobby is just the most friendliest guy. I mean, every time I've been there, I've had to use his garage and welder. No problem. He's like, "Come on down." Well, now I
I
got a welder on the trailer, but still, it's nice to like be able to go in a garage and work on your stuff versus like out in the weather on your trailer.
I like Good Evening Ranch because Good Evening Ranch is a nice 6 hour ride for me, 7 hour ride for me, like depending on traffic. I would realistically say it's like 6.5 to 7.5 now that I think about it. But like it's a lot easier to go there than it is to go to Roush or to go back home for me. So like for me to go to F&F is 18 hours.
Yeah.
18 and a half hours somewhere in there.
And you can typically only go if there's like an event.
Yeah, or
Mhm.
I have to know some club that's going there, and
Yeah.
that's where it's so much easier for me to go to Good Evening. So that's why that park's got like a special place in my heart, is it feels close to home, but it's
Yeah.
not quite there. Um,
Yeah.
I miss
We
the New England wheeling, but
yeah. The New Englanders are good people.
Hell yeah.
for sure. I know we're starting to come up on the time limit, so what are your socials one last time before we roll this out?
She crawls across the board. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I have a YouTube channel. It's shocker, but it's She Crawls as well. But I haven't done anything with it. It's just I have tons and tons of footage and stuff. I mean, God, Brent and I could have a
So much
reality show.
time.
Brent and
Yeah.
I could truly have a reality show. Our life is quite hysterical. But I mean, we could just make a YouTube episode, just set up the camera, just the two of us out here in the garage on a Friday night, and people would love it. But we just haven't done it. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of editing. If you want to do it right.
That's where I struggle and where I have to give a round of applause to like Mark at FM Jeeping. He does very concise videos that are very well put together. So I don't know how other people do it, and I don't even know how he does it
Well,
with the
they
amount of
probably
editing time.
they probably don't, focus on other things as much. Where I've kind of like focused on Instagram and whatnot, and my goals there. Um, so, but yeah, I've got to have time for the family.
Amen to that.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got two kids, so.
Oh,
And
but I didn't know that you guys had kids. That's exciting.
Yeah, we got a 9-year-old son, Carter. Um, and then my daughter, Riley, is 18. I might be giving my age away a little bit there, but yeah.
makes sense though. Like, is That's got to be a lot of fucking time, though. Just,
The editing.
I mean, taking care of kids, doing the she
Oh.
crawls, and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting to the point, kind of like with 2024. I'm not making deposits where there's not going to be a withdrawal anymore. I have to start saying no to things, and I'm just kind of like a very friendly, helpful person, and I struggle saying no. So that's something I'm going to try to work on a little bit and have more time to relax. And like when I am out in the garage working on the buggy, like I don't feel stressed out because I have a load of crap to do in the house, up in the office and stuff. So I just want to prioritize a little bit.
Yep. Makes perfect sense to me. Anyone else got any final thoughts here?
No, honestly, I just want to say thank you very much for coming on. I think you've been absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic, and I've had a lot of fun throughout this whole episode.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Definitely reach out to Brent. I think you guys would enjoy him as well, and I will heckle him in the background when he's on with you.
Love it, love it. Well, thank you very much for coming on, and thank you everybody for listening. If you can, please, with any social media platform that you guys are listening on, or if you guys are following, make sure you go check out her. Make sure you go check out all of our stuff. And on that note,
guys, please take care of yourselves. This is the first episode that's coming out after the new year, and I know, as cliche as it sounds, consider spending some time in the gym, because your body is the first impression that you're going to give anyone, and something that you're only going to get one of. Taking care of it shows that you can take care of other things, and that helps to build trust. So
Well,
keep that in mind.
I just go to the gym so that I can drink beer and not feel guilty about it.
hell yeah. I can get behind that.
That's my gym motivation. No, definitely valid point, guys. Thanks again for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for coming on.